The tower is the place where dreams are made and lost. An integral part of dice sports, our athletes will be getting their first look at the tower today, but it certainly will not be their last. Hello and welcome to the Pro Dice Tour, brought to you by the Dice Sports Network. The number on everyone's lips today is 21, which is the target our teams will be trying to reach in event number 2. 2 members of each team will roll in pairs to try to get as close to 21 as possible without exceeding that total. No doubt we'll see some fortunes decided today on a single roll. It's about accuracy, teamwork, and staying cool under pressure. Fans lining the bleachers again today. The Night Rangers have certainly picked up some fans after their performance last week. Today's event will begin with a qualification high roll, since starting order matters, as the teams going later in the day will know the score to beat. Our competitors will begin at the top of the ramp before launching themselves into the tower, where they will rebound off several walls, come out the bottom and roll down to the arena below. You'll notice that some safety barriers have been installed on the side of the ramp after a few incidents in training earlier today. Our teams have been separated into 2 heats for the high roll, with the lowest roll going first in the competition and the highest roll going last. In heat number 1 we have the Sweethearts, Team Fantastic, the High Rollers, the D20s, the Night Rangers and the Outer Spaces. There's going to be an explosion of dice into the arena in a couple of seconds. And they are off. Here they come now down into the arena. Let's see how the scores stack up. That looks like a good score for the D20s, not so much for the Sweethearts. The Sweethearts are the first out of the tower. There's a lot of bumping and jostling as teams jockey for position to get into the arena. Teams may be looking to conserve energy for the action to come later today. There you have the results of Heat 1. The D20s currently in the best qualifying position. As it currently stands, they would be our final team to roll today. Let's take a look at the lineup for Heat 2. We have the Psychedelics, the Halloweeners, the Straight Shooters, the Brown Bears, Team Perfection, and the Grim Reapers bringing up the rear. Starter gives the signal and they are off. They come down the ramp and there's been a collision. One of the judges has been knocked clean off their perch. I believe one of the athletes may have flown out of the arena as well. That is Freya, who has landed a 6 in the arena, but Zelda is nowhere to be seen. The judge has been knocked all the way over to the grandstand. Our medical team will be coming in to make sure they're okay. Let's take another look at how that went down. As they come down into the arena, it looks like there's a strong impact between Zelda and one of the Straight Shooters, and then there may have been Justice, who collides with the judge before rebounding back into the arena. The other competitors managed to stay out of trouble. That is our medical team examining Zelda, who has rolled a 2, but it will not count because she's outside the arena. Coming back to the scene inside, it looks like the Psychedelics have rolled an 11. That will put them in the top spot. The Halloweeners will only get 6 thanks to that effort by Freya. But we do hope that both of the Halloweeners will be able to continue. That is the qualification scores. It appears we have the D20s and the Grim Reapers on an exact tie, as are Team Perfection and Team Fantastic. Those teams will roll off against one another one more time to determine the final starting order. The D20s and the Grim Reapers both scoring 10 with a 6 plus 4. As they come down the ramp, this time it's one of the Grim Reapers that's flown right over the wall. Hopefully this won't set a precedent for what we're going to be seeing later today. D20s will take this one with a score of 6-1, but it looks like Doom, who's departed from the arena. We do hope he's okay. As our medical team looks into that one, we now have Team Perfection and Team Fantastic at the top of the ramp. Both scored 7 with a 5 plus 2 during the first roll, so they will be rolling off for the starting positions of 4th and 5th. Into the tower they go, and it looks like there's no trouble this time. We've got a score of 6-5, so Team Perfection will take the better starting position. So to wrap up the qualification section of today's event, the Sweethearts will be going first, followed by the Night Rangers and Halloweeners. The Psychedelics, similar to last week, will have the final crack of the day. They will get to see all the other teams roll first and know just how close to 21 they have to be to take gold. That is the view that awaits our competitors at the top of the ramp, certainly not for the faint of heart. So we're ready to begin the event proper here. For the Sweethearts, it is the Captain Sweetie and Cherish who will be rolling on their behalf. Let's see what they can get done with the first roll of the day. Into the tower they go, and a great view of the Sweethearts rolling down into the arena. That's going to be a score of just 3, so they started out very low. Perhaps that's part of their strategy. Of course, there are a number of combinations which add up to 21. Some teams may be looking to get points on the board early, others adopting a more consistent approach. With a score of 3, the Sweethearts still have a long way to go. Back up at the top of the ramp, let's see what they can add to that score. Sweethearts come down and a solid impact with the far wall. That's going to be a 6, both members displaying a 3, so that will take them to 9. A 12 in their next roll would take them to 21, but that will not be easy. Sweetie and Cherish now roll for the 3rd time and they come down with some good pace. Once again, both members matching each other with a score of 8. That will take them to 17, which is somewhat of an awkward total. Team now getting together to discuss whether they will roll again. Teams, of course, have the option after every roll to decide whether they will continue or stand with their current score. And we're hearing that the Sweethearts have decided to stand on 17, obviously deciding it's too risky to go again. They would rather put a score on the board and let the other teams try to beat it. Next up we have the Night Rangers, last week's champions. They are represented today by Shine and Glimmer. Night Rangers will be looking to carry that momentum forward into today's event. They come through the tower and down to the arena below. That's going to be a score of 7. Of course, one strategy for getting to 21 is simply rolling 3 7s. 7 is the easiest target for teams to achieve, and the Night Rangers will be looking for 2 more of those. This time they come down in unison, and that's going to be a score of 6, it looks like, taking them to 13. A great position to be in, and you have to imagine they will go for another roll here. Plenty of Night Rangers fans in the stadium today after the team took the very first gold of the Pro Dice Tour last week. It looks like the Night Rangers will be rolling again. An 8 would give them 21. A 5 would take them to 18 and ahead of the Sweethearts, but they have to be careful not to go too high. Into the tower and down into the arena, and oh, that's a 10. That adds up to 23, and the Night Rangers will be the first of perhaps several teams today to put themselves out of the competition. The pair not looking too pleased with themselves as they climb out of the arena. And it would take some extraordinary busts from the rest of the teams today for the Night Rangers to get anywhere near the top half of the field. Next up we have the Halloweeners. Zelda, thankfully, still able to compete after that nasty tumble earlier today. Hopefully it hasn't shaken up their confidence too much. Halloweeners come down for their first roll. They've spaced themselves out a fair amount. What will the score be? It looks like an 8. Another one of those middling scores, but a good launching pad for the team. Freya and Zelda back up there for roll number 2. What can they get done? Good pace into the arena again, and that's going to be a 6 on top of the 8 they scored in the first round, taking them to 14. A 7 will get the Halloweeners to 21, anything higher and they will join the Night Rangers on the wrong side of that target. The Halloweeners come down and there's a bit of spinning on the end. What will the final number be? Freya ends up on a 5 and that's going to be a good score. Halloweeners add 6 to their score, which takes them to a total of 20, and that currently puts them in the top spot. The Halloweeners don't want to celebrate too prematurely, but they have posted a great score. The remaining teams will have to hit 21 exactly to knock them out of the top spot. Next up we have the Brown Bears. Smokey and Teddy will be the team's representatives today. The Brown Bears do enjoy being part of the pack, but they'll be looking to get out ahead of the pack today. The Brown Bears are off and they crash down into the arena. That looks like a high score. The Brown Bears kick things off with a roll of 11. That's somewhat of an awkward place to be with the goal of reaching 21. They'll be looking to go very big or very small on the next roll. They come down again and oh dear, Teddy's jumped straight out of the arena. Smokey there displaying a 6, but his teammate is not within view. Our medical team will be rushing over as soon as they can. Let's take a look at how that happened. Teddy out of the tower first. There's a long gap back to his teammate and he just bounces off the center and straight over the wall. Must have been difficult for Smokey to keep his composure as he sees his teammate fly off to the side. Our medical staff now attending to Teddy, who has traveled a long way. You can see there the distance he's traveled from the arena past the end of the grandstand. A concerned murmur going through the stadium right now. We are hearing word that Teddy will not be able to continue, so the Brown Bears are going to have to bring in a replacement. The 6 that Smokey rolled will not count since both members must finish inside the arena to be a valid roll. It looks as though the captain, Fuzzy, is going to step up to take over from his injured teammate. Of course, we wish Teddy all the best and hope that this is only a minor setback for him this season. Brown Bears still sitting on 11 and trying to add to that score. It is a safe roll this time and it's going to be 7. That takes the Brown Bears to 18, which currently puts them in second place, although there are still a lot of teams remaining. It looks as though that big score on the first roll has cost them somewhat, and if there's one team that knows about going big, it's Team Fantastic. Nelly and Ali now poised at the top of the ramp. Can the captain lead her team to victory? Into the tower they go and they race down into the arena with some force. That looks like it's going to be a big score for a big team. Team Fantastic kick the day off with 10. That puts them in a similar position to the Brown Bears just a few seconds ago. They'll need to think about this one carefully. Do you look for 2 low scores to get close to 21 or try to go big once again? Given the history of this team, I think we can guess which one of those options is more likely. Into the tower they go and they hit the arena together. A little bit of a spin on the end and that looks like a superlative score. Judges can confirm that that is 11 from Team Fantastic, another huge score, and that is going to take them all the way to 21. In the replay we can see how this came together. The 2 members rebound off opposite sides of the arena and it is Nelly who lands on that 5 first before Ellie spins around and spins around a little bit more before coming to a stop on the 6. Team Fantastic living up to their name with some fantastic last minute communication between the 2 members, and that is going to put them at the top of the table. The rest of the team coming out to celebrate. Team Fantastic have put themselves in a virtually unassailable position. It just remains to be seen whether any other team can match it. Of course, it's not over yet, but you can imagine Team Fantastic already envisioning that top podium spot. A lot of pressure on Team Perfection now as they make their way to the top of the ramp. Pitta and Patta known for good synergy and they will certainly need it today. As they come down the ramp, it looks like that's another big score. Team Perfection say if 11 is good enough for Team Fantastic, then it's good enough for us too. How will they play it out from this position? A 10, of course, will get them straight to 21 in 2 rolls, just as Team Fantastic did. A middling roll of 7 or 8 would barely put them in medal contention right now. Pitta and Patta come down into the arena and both members displaying a score of 3. That's going to be 6, which added to their score takes them to 17. Currently not good enough for a spot on the podium, but it'll be difficult to roll again. The captain Purr talking with the rest of his team. It's risky to roll again given that a score of even 5 would take them over 21. Team Perfection bottom of the table after event 1. They certainly don't want to suffer the same fate again today. And it looks as though they have gone with a sensible option, settling for 17 and hoping that we'll be able to get them some points on the board, even if it won't be good enough for a medal. So at the halfway point, Team Fantastic on top with a perfect score. Night Rangers the first team to bust today, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're joined by a couple of other teams in the latter half of the competition. Next up for the outer spaces, it is Marvin and Marsha. A lot of teams have fielded pairs with a long history today given the synergy required in this event. Let's see what they can get done in their first roll. Into the tower, and that's a well-controlled roll from the outer spaces. They're going to score 9 for their first attempt. The outer spaces will likely now be aiming for a lower roll and then looking to bring it home with 1 more. Marvin and Marsha come down again, and this time it's a 7. That takes them to 16, which is an awkward looking score. 16 would currently put them close to the bottom of the standings, only beating out the Night Rangers who went over the target. The team will have to come together to make a decision on this one. It comes down to how much faith they have in their pairing to keep it low. Looks like they have decided to put it all on the line and roll again. A 5 will get them to 21, anything higher than that and they're out. Down the ramp, and it looks like they've overshot the mark. That is not the score they were looking for. Marsha there with the 6 and Marvin with a 4. They've gone well past the target and will end up on 26, which puts them at the absolute bottom of the standings so far. Straight shooters now at the top of the ramp with Bullseye and Justice. The straight shooters took home silver in event number 1. They'll be looking to follow that up with another strong performance today. Straight shooters are often quite a bit of rolling around at the bottom. They've managed to roll an 8, which is a solid start and leaves them with a lot of options. Back at the top of the ramp, and we get a close-up view as they come down with good pace. Another 8 for the straight shooters, which takes them to 16. We just saw the outer spaces make an attempt from this score. Will the straight shooters follow suit? Captain Sarge now talking with his team. Will they accept a middle-of-the-pack result, or will they go for glory? It looks like the answer is glory. Bullseye and Justice return to the top of the ramp. They have to keep it low. You imagine they've been presented with this scenario many times in training. The straight shooters come down, some distance between them, and one of them's catapulted off the side of the arena. That is Bullseye, who's managed to land a 2. But Justice has traveled a long way after flying off to the right side of the arena. Let's take another look at that. We can see Bullseye as the first one down lands safely in the arena, but Justice finds an awkward angle and just ricochets off the side, narrowly missing that judge as well. Our medical team now attending to Justice over there on the right side of the arena. Hopefully she will be okay. Coming down the ramp at speed, you can see she's traveled some distance. Safety barriers, of course, were put in place at the edges of the ramp, but they're not able to catch competitors from every possible angle. Thankfully, we are hearing that Justice is okay and will be able to continue. Like most of the straight shooters, Justice is a real trooper. But will that have shaken their confidence as they return to the top of the ramp for a crucial roll? Straight shooters, remember, are sitting on 16. They need 5 or less to be in medal contention. They come down together and it is a safe landing, but it looks like it may be too high. Well, too high, in fact. They've overshot the target by quite some margin here. That is going to take them to a score of 27, which bumps the outer spaces out of last place. Straight shooters not happy with the result, and you can't help but wonder if they would have benefited from making a substitution after Justice took that nasty tumble. She'll be receiving further checkups after the event is done, and we do hope there's no long-term damage. Attention now turns to the high rollers, who will be represented by Snake Eyes and Joker. That suggests they may be looking at a low roll strategy, contrary to the team name. High rollers come down at good pace, and they started off with a 7. 7 being the average score. 2 more rolls like that and they'll end up right where they want to be. You have to imagine they'll be looking for another 7 to follow that up. The high rollers come down again and they've cashed in for the maximum here. First team today to roll a straight 12. Not what many fans expected when they saw Snake Eyes in the lineup, but the high rollers have taken themselves to 19 with a 7 and now a 12. That currently puts them in 3rd place. The high rollers will stand at 19 and hope that they can hold on to that bronze medal. The Grim Reapers have chosen the brother and sister duo of Doom and Gloom to represent them today. The Grim Reapers also hoping to put some points on the board after a disappointing outing in the first event. Into the tower and a minor collision between the pair at the bottom. I don't know if that was intentional or not. The Grim Reapers get their campaign underway with a score of 6, leaving them with many strategic options. They crash into the arena and one of the judges has been knocked down again. The second official today to find themselves dislodged from their chair. The score will count, and that's a 10, that scythe symbol representing a 6 on the Grim Reaper's uniforms. But we do hope the official in question is okay. Let's take another look at that. It appears there was no direct contact or maybe a slight glance. The judge may have just lost their balance as they topple into the arena, as you see there. We're hearing that the judge is okay, just a little shaken by that experience. Our officials have certainly been in the firing line today, along with many of our competitors. The Grim Reapers now on 16 with a decision to make, same score that the outer spaces and straight shooters failed to capitalize on. We've already seen several teams bust, so standing on 16 would put the Grim Reapers close to the middle of the pack. It looks like they will not be satisfied with that though, and they've decided to roll again. As the third team to take a shot on 16 today, can they keep it low? Into the tower, and there's a rebound off the edge of the arena. They do manage to stay in it, but that is not the score they were looking for. The Grim Reapers, needing 5 or less, have rolled a 7, which puts them out of contention. 23 means they will not be at the very bottom, along with the outer spaces and straight shooters, but I think the team was hoping for a better performance than this. Now only 2 teams remaining. Team Fantastic still in the top spot, unchallenged on 21. Will the D20s be able to match it? They've sent out Crit and Rogue for today's event. Crit and Rogue into the arena, and Rogue has bounced straight out. Flown straight over the northern wall, so that score of 3 will not count. What exactly happened here? We see Crit rebounds off the wall and lands safely, but Rogue has bounced off their near side and then may have taken a deflection off his teammate. It's hard to tell exactly, but he's certainly flown a long way. Once again, our medical staff are called into action, and you have to question whether the organizing committee may be looking to make some changes after what we've seen today. The rest of the team coming together. We're hearing that Rogue will not be able to continue, so the D20s will be sending in a substitute for the remaining roles. The medical team now stationing themselves permanently behind the arena. Hopefully they won't be required on any further occasions today. So the D20 still on 0 have sent in their captain DM to join Crit. Rowe currently still receiving treatment, but he'll be looking on from the grandstands. The D20's come down and it is a safe roll this time. They've started out with a 9, on the higher side of the first rolls we've seen today. How will they look to play it out from here? A nice clean roll this time, keeping it well under control, and they have scored a 6, taking them to 15. Another one of those awkward scores. We have not seen teams perform well today from scores of around 15 or 16. DM not expecting to be out there. Have they prepared enough for this scenario? Come down in tandem and the D20s have landed right next to each other. A little spin on the end, but once again they've gone too high. 9 takes them well past the target they were looking for, and they will join the list of teams who have busted out of the competition. Disappointment for the D20s, but the Psychedelics fan club is in the house today and they're hoping their team can make it count. Psychedelics enjoy the thrills and spills, but hopefully they can keep it in the arena. Vibe and Chill will be the team's representatives today. In they go and down they come, and that looks like it's going to be a score of 9. Teams so far have not fared well from this position, but hopefully the Psychedelics have a plan. Down they come again, and oh dear, we've got another casualty. This time Vibe and one of the officials have flown out of the arena together. That looked like a nasty collision. The Psychedelics come down together, and ow! That's an awkward bounce which sends Vibe catapulting into the official, knocking him clean off the chair, and both of them find themselves outside the arena. That was a considerable impact, and it appears the official in question has been knocked out cold, so he will be escorted off the field, as we're still waiting for word on whether Vibe is okay. A replacement judge is going to be brought in. Thankfully, we hear that Vibe fared much better than the official on this occasion, and he's able to continue. So the Psychedelics still sitting on 9. Hopefully this incident won't shake them up too much. Come down together and it's a valid roll this time. Plenty of spinning on the end and they've managed to keep it low. Teams today have struggled to put low scores on the board, but the Psychedelics have taken themselves to 13, which puts them in a great position to challenge for a medal. A score of 8 would take them to 21, 6 would get them to the podium. They want to get as close to 21 as possible, but pushing the envelope could be risky. That is the replacement judge brought in for the one who took a big hit during the Psychedelics' second roll. Now only one roll potentially remains. Can the Psychedelics bring it home like they did last week? They come down with some distance between them this time, and when the dust settles, it looks like a 7. That is going to be good enough, taking the Psychedelics to 20, and I believe on Countback they will oust the Halloweeners from the silver medal position. That is a commendable effort from Chill and Vibe, particularly after taking that tumble earlier on in the round. The Night Rangers not presenting too much danger to the rest of the field today, but let's take a look at the final standings. Team Fantastic triumphant with a perfect score that they achieved in only 2 rolls. Psychedelics will podium for the second week in a row, and they'll be joined by the Halloweeners this time, who narrowly edged out the High Rollers. And the Straight Shooters have come out bottom of the bunch. A shout out should go to our medical team though, the real heroes of the day. It's been a rough and tumble event with plenty of competitors and even some officials finding themselves involved in some nasty collisions. Team Fantastic standing atop the podium, and they well deserve it. 2 massive rolls befitting the team's reputation. They have earned themselves the maximum this week. Vibe and Zelda were 2 of the athletes who found themselves landing outside the arena today, but they managed to recover and earn their team a medal. Let's see how that shakes up the points table. Team Fantastic move into the top spot, tied with the Psychedelics. Night Rangers still holding 3rd after a strong performance last time, and it's a close race from there on down. It can all change very quickly though, so stay tuned for event number 3 next week. It's been a long day of competition here, and we hope you've enjoyed today's broadcast. From all of us here at the Dice Sports Network, we bid you good night.